All right, people, bots, and trolls, let's get this build started. Here we have the Solar Flare Lounge in Desert Oasis, which I am bulldozing. Also, sorry for calling you bots and trolls. I'm definitely not big enough on YouTube to have bots and trolls, nor was that even called for. Today is going to be a chaotic and dramatic voiceover, I can already tell. Guys, I can't even begin to tell you my thought process behind this build. This was not a peaceful, quaint little build. Actually, very much the opposite of my previous video I posted. I got the idea to do a somewhat limited CC build, and I wanted it to be totally different from anything I've done on my channel this far. I thought about Felix Andre's Grove collection because that's what I do when I want to build something that will architecturally challenge me. I think of all the different CC kits and collections that Felix Andre in particular has come out with, because a lot of his CC is based on different countries and architecture around the world. So, I've built a Moroccan kind of Riad in the past before I started my YouTube channel. Wait, let me quickly educate myself on what a Riad even is before I'm throwing the word around willy-nilly. Okay, so in case you guys don't know either, let's do some art history, architecture, history learning right now. I advise you take notes because there will be a quiz on this later. So, according to Wikipedia right here in front of me, a very trustworthy source, a riad is a type of traditional Moroccan and Andalusi, I really hope I'm saying that right, interior garden or courtyard associated with houses and palaces. And Google further clarifies that the difference between a riad and hotel is mainly their size. Many riads feature less than 10 rooms, so the rooms tend to be more uniquely furnished. Well, I'm very glad to hear that because I built a boutique hotel in the style of a Moroccan riad. I feel like I blacked out building this, not because it was extremely difficult, although it was hard in the sense of, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not comfortable with this architecture in real life, nor in my game, and I'm not familiar with key aspects and how it's supposed to look or function, but I feel like I blacked out and let my ADHD really overtake me on this one. I don't know if any one of you can relate on this, but sometimes when I get an idea for a build and can picture the shape of it in my mind, my eyes are glued to that computer. I will sit there in a dark room in total silence except for the clacking of my mouse and keyboard until that build is finished, or some third party literally forces me to stop building, like if I have a meeting or something. Not even the grumble of my hungry little tummy can stop me. Have to pee? I will hold it until I'm about to piss myself. Why? Because if I get up, I risk losing my train of thought and the direction I know I want to go in, and then I will be fucked. I'll be fucked. So that's probably not normal. Whatever, dude, stop judging me. I can feel the judging eyes through the screen. Anyways, luckily for me and my hyper-focused superpowers, I had some time to just grind this one out, and grind I did. We've already got the exterior shape, which is just 4 rectangles surrounding this inner open courtyard, which I turned into a pool. You could also do a tree in here, like the Grove collection has some great landscaping items. I used the palm trees on the exterior, but there's also this tree with hanging lanterns that would look so beautiful in a courtyard. Originally, this build was only going to be 2 stories because I was building with medium wall height on each floor level, and buildings just look so ridiculously tall compared to others when it's all medium walls. But I realized I wouldn't actually have a lot of room on the second floor to put the rooms, the hotel rooms, so I reluctantly added a 3rd story. Just a few seconds ago, you saw me adding these Moorish arches all around the interior courtyard. These are from the Grove collection as well, and I use these pieces in so many of my builds. They're also great for Spanish colonial homes, which you see a lot of in Desert Oasis. Why did I say Desert Oasis? It's Oasis Springs. Anyways, they can be paired with half walls or fences, which is what I did when I added them on the 2nd and 3rd floors. I paid a little more attention to decorating the pool than I normally do because I wanted it to match the intricate tile work throughout the rest of the riad. So the Grove collection also has 2 different sets of pool/floor trim that I added around the pool, but I also used on the floor of the pool to create a simple tile design, and I changed the pool water to one from the Grove collection and then added some fountains that will really bring the place to life in live mode. Like any other builds, the 2 things that I was most unsure about were the exterior and landscaping. I severely underestimated how big this build was going to be. I could have moved it to a larger lot in Oasis Springs, but because it was a hotel, I just thought it would be perfect if it was in this little downtown strip with a built-in parking lot right next door to the museum and gym and stuff. So I didn't even try to do landscaping until the very end, which I actually didn't film because I was going back and forth so much and spent quite some time just staring at it without a clue what to do. But also all the pictures I was looking up of Moroccan Riad exteriors weren't helping at all, because the exteriors of these real life buildings are either shaped like an actual palace, or they're these large plaster or adobe unassuming rectangles with barely any windows on the exterior, because the whole point is that you wouldn't know that there's a vibrant oasis on the interior. The floor planning was also a nightmare. You might think, oh, it's just a bunch of symmetrical boxes, so that should be simple, you know, no curves or weird angles. And as I was first building this, I thought the same thing. And because I knew this was going to be a hotel, I was like, the more symmetrical, the better. I just want to be able to copy and paste each room, but things never work out the way we think they will, do they? I got to the first floor and I was like, oh, right. I need a full kitchen, dining area, and lobby, as well as doors to the back of the lot where the parking is. Right. Cool. So how am I supposed to incorporate all of that and make it flow naturally in a way that makes sense? Oh, and I'm also trying to make these stairs work. Oh my god, stairs take up so much space and it can really complicate floor plans when not properly accounted for. I figure out the second and third story floor plans off camera and we'll walk you through those later, but I keep the first floor in to show you what I was working with. I should also take a moment right now to explain that I'm trying to primarily stick to using Felix Andre's Grove collection, which is why I've said it like a bajillion times thus far. It comes in 4 parts, and compared to some of his other collections, Grove is not that big, and maybe not even big enough to do a full hotel. But I stretched this collection as far as I could. Actually, I bet you could take it even further than I did. It's got tons of landscaping, interior and exterior furniture, bedroom stuff, and build items like several kinds of windows and doors. I tried to use as much of the Moorish furnishings as I could. The doors to the hotel rooms are stunning. But I did use other custom content in this build as well. I just tried to be really mindful of where I was pulling from and to try and stick to a couple collections. For example, I pulled some mirrors from Pierre Sim's Domaine du Clos, and when I was looking for potted plants or luggage pieces, I stuck to Domaine du Clos. And as always, a majority of the custom content I use is linked in the description box, as well as my gallery ID in case you would like to download this build. I had no idea where to start with this build. I've never built a hotel in The Sims before, so I figured why not start with the first thing you see when you walk into a hotel, which is the reception desk and lobby. The desk is right up at the front door. It just had to be that way for like the flow of things. It's not ideal, but we're working with it. I used some counter pieces to create this totally fake check-in desk. Hotels aren't actually possible to build in The Sims 4. I mean, you can build them, but they won't function as a hotel. But my thought process is, if you downloaded this build and set it to a rental lot with the For Rent expansion pack and set the tenants' lease times to 1 day or 2 days, then that's like a hotel, right? And this is a serious question I'm asking you guys. Like, I don't have any expansion packs, so I cannot test this out for myself, but I'm curious if that would work for a build like this. But yeah, fake desk, fake lobby. I don't think I've ever used these sconce lights from the Clutter Cat's Dandy Diary bathroom set before, but I'm always eyeing them in the catalog. I feel like they're meant for a very specific decor style, but they work so perfectly in this build. Try and convince me otherwise, you can't. Same with another wall sconce from the Clutter Cat's Mellow Mood set. It's a rectangular piece of carved wood, or maybe it's stone, but it has this little candle sitting in the carved arabesque nook that was just too perfect. So I had to deviate from the rules I set for myself. But it's all in the name of design. You'll see the sconces I'm talking about in a bit when I come back to finalize the floor plan of the first floor. Usually I try to have a plan of attack when I record a build, because if I jump around a lot, the camera will be moving all over the place too, and it's just harder to follow in a speed build. But like I said, my ADHD really overtook me on this one. I let go and let God. We trusted the process, okay? Therefore, I'm working on the interior, and then I do the exterior again, and then I go back to the interior. I feel like I'm that TikTok sound that's like, I'm alive, I'm dead, I'm watching TV, I'm looking at you, fuck you, I'm dead again. You know what I'm talking about? That's me when I get overly excited about an idea for a build. But anyways, let's start with the kitchen. Originally, I had the back door mirroring the front of the build exactly, but realized that would be the best place for a kitchen. I was really struggling with where I was going to put the kitchen because I wanted to have one big enough to look like it can accommodate a full hotel. But since this is a boutique hotel, it can still have a lot of individuality. Like, it doesn't need to be a stainless steel commercial chef's kitchen. We don't need to be doing all that in here. The Grove collection has a great kitchen set, which I get to show off here, with this gorgeous plaster range hood as the centerpiece. I am obsessed with the color swatches in the Grove collection. The different shades of blue, turquoise, and green really speak to me. There's tons of counter space, which I don't clutter up too much, considering it's me and I love kitchen clutter. I add a little coffee and tea station in one corner, stacking some teacups on a serving tray for decor. I can't remember if I end up keeping the microwave from Hey Harry and Felix Andre's kitchen set, but I know I do take this opportunity to create a little pantry section with Pierre Sim's new pantry party set. I thought perhaps the kitchen could be open to guests outside the hours of meal service, like if they wanted to grab coffee or heat up a quick meal. Then it would also make sense why the doors to the kitchen are permanently open, because I use this door variant that technically functions as a door frame. The doors don't open and close on this variant, but I liked it like that for screenshot purposes. Okay, hold on, pause. This is what I'm talking about when I say EA could never. Did you see how many swatch options are included on that counter? I'm no mathlete, but I counted 64 different swatches. Did you hear that? Did you clock that? 64 different colorways for just this one counter. And this is why I build with custom content. While I put the kitchen together, I want to take this time to kind of update you all in my personal life a little bit. So I recently got a second job so I can save up for my own PC. I currently use my brother's computer since he's away at university, but he wants to take it with him to school, which means I will be shit out of luck. Now, because I'm working 2 jobs, I don't think I'll be able to post 2 videos every week. Obviously, I'm sad I won't have as much time to dedicate to my hobbies, but I'm still going to aim for posting a video once a week. I really enjoy making silly little YouTube videos about my builds and playing an active role in contributing to the Sims 4 community. And just know that I'm very reluctantly taking a step back. I haven't decided what day of the week you can expect future speed builds from me, but I'll keep you guys posted. If you want to see work in progress photos or screenshots of my builds, I post pretty regularly on Twitter. I still refuse to call it X. My username is ProfWomanChild, ProfWomanChild, but it's also linked in the description box in case you'd like to check it out. But yeah, I'm going to be a lot busier than I have been these past couple of years, which is good. I like being busy, and of course I like making money, but I really don't like not being able to build as often. This week is my first week working 2 jobs, so we'll see how it goes, but hopefully you all can understand. And while I'm being open and honest with you all, I'm gonna just call it and say that I probably won't voice over the entire 40 plus minutes of this build because I'm tired, and this video is already going up later than I'd like it to. I recorded the first maybe like 4 minutes of this voiceover earlier this week when I was fresh with lots of energy and time, but I had to go to sleep, so I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just pick it back up where I left off another day. Mistake, because now I'm not in a talkative mood, but here I am with a long ass speed build. I'll still go over the whole build with you guys, but I don't think that'll take me all of 40 minutes, you feel me? Also, my brother is visiting home from university literally tonight, so I gotta get this video done before he comes home and kicks me out of his room. So, like I mentioned, I got to play around with a lot of the pantry party items, and I even included the deep freezer next to the fridge, which I hadn't used yet. I wish it functioned just like a fridge, but it's purely decorative. After I finished the kitchen, I returned to the lobby area. It's very symmetrical with benches from the Grove collection on either side. In the hallway behind the check-in desk, I added some wooden shelves with lots of towels for guests that would like to use the courtyard pool. I play tested the pool and it's functional, but since there are fountains in the pool, your Sims can only swim in small areas, but it's fine, like they don't care. And yes, there are pool ladders, but no lifeguard on duty. So, if you want to take away the pool ladders and make your Sims drown, then that is your choice. You'll see me toggle between different times of day throughout this build to see how things looked in different lighting. Lighting in this game is crucial as a builder. It totally changes the way colors come across, for better or for worse, and because this build has a lot of indoor-outdoor living, it gets a little wonky. I know this is a little technical, but stay with me. So, for example, the kitchen seems really bright in comparison to the rest of the build. While the kitchen appears open to the rest of the first floor because the door is open, the game recognizes it as a closed-off room because the door is there. Whereas the Moorish arches placed all around the first floor and upper balconies are just columns and not full walls, The game doesn't class it as a closed-off room, and therefore it uses outdoor lighting, which is harder to control. Normally this would really bother me, but it's quite realistic for this kind of architecture to be lit like this. From my brief research, Riad seemed to be more dimly lit with lots of candles and natural light. This is probably because dark rooms offer an escape from extreme heat temperatures. And the pictures at night were very glowy and romantic with all these candles scattered about, so I wanted to make sure that it was lit well enough to see your Sims and what they're doing at night without adding the stark, bright saucer lights I normally put in houses. The Grove collection has these ornate metal sconces that give off a bright candle glow, and I mix in some other lanterns and candles from the Clutter Cat and Felix Andre's Kyoto set. Now for the rest of the first floor, I thought I could fit a little common area on one side of the pool and dining tables on the other, but it felt too cramped, and that's the last thing I wanted this hotel to feel like. You'll see me add these hanging love seats, which are from Felix Andre's Colonial collection, and side note, I pulled a fair amount of furnishings from that set. I feel like it pairs really well with the Grove collection with all the tile, plaster, and tassel details. But I don't get rid of those ceiling mounted chairs completely, I just don't keep them on the first floor. I decided to just put dining tables surrounding the whole pool, and I thought maybe people who aren't staying at the hotel would dine here too. Or it'd be fun to use this space as a party venue. Maybe you can host birthday parties or wedding receptions here because the screenshots would be gorgeous and there's plenty of entertainment space. But before I finalized the table placements, I realized I didn't paint the ceilings, and it's a crucial part of making this build come to life. I saw a lot of gorgeous tile work on the ceilings of reference photos I was looking at and had to include it in here, especially since the walls are mostly beige and white plaster. I used some tile from 6MCC's Boho Bath Botanical Retreat, my god that's a mouthful, and now that I'm watching this speed build and pointing out the custom content I used, I really didn't do that great of a job limiting myself to only a few CC packs. I mean, I tried. It's a thought that counts, okay? These are the tables I'm sticking with. I thought the tablecloths on them were a little more appropriate for a candlelit restaurant. I just added a candle from the Clutter Cat to each table to brighten it up a bit. Like I said, don't worry about the other side of the pool where the swing love seats are. I end up changing that later anyways. Now let's move on to the second floor, which is accessible by staircases on either side of the building. They're exactly the same, just mirrored. The balcony overlooking the first floor and pool is only one tile wide, which is plenty of space for your Sims to walk through, but I will say it's a little hard to find your Sims with all of these columns. You can get some gorgeous screenshots while they walk through these outdoor hallways, but it's a little difficult because the Sims 4 camera doesn't like to sit still in live mode. Each floor has 2 bedrooms with an ensuite bathroom for guests. I kept the bedrooms pretty uniform but alternated the color schemes and placement of the bed. The first room I furnished has 2 single beds in an orange color scheme, and it's the only room with single beds. The rest feature 1 double bed, which is probably equivalent to like a king size bed. This is also the only room I added suitcases to. I wanted it to look like some guests maybe just checked in and hadn't unpacked. The luggage is from PuriSim's Domaine du Clos. The bathrooms are even more identical, as I kept the color swatches the same. Each bathroom has the large corner tub from the base game. I normally think this tub is excessive in a bad way, and to be honest, ugly. But I added it here because I felt like these rooms needed jacuzzi tubs. Like I can picture a Sim having a nice, romantic, candlelit bath with rose petals in a big jacuzzi tub like this. So to be fair, every room got one. Now the sizes of the rooms aren't exactly identical due to the shape and placement of the stairs, so I still had to individually furnish each hotel room, much to my dismay. I expected to be able to literally copy and paste the rooms, but instead I had to use the eyedropper tool to individually copy and place each piece of furniture and decor. I saved you the tediousness of all that, and I actually furnished the third floor entirely off camera, so I'll show you what I did up there in a little. To spice up the wall behind the bed, I used this pediment piece and wall trim to create a custom molding on the wall, and not molds like in the fungus, but molding is in the decorative strips of wood or plaster used to cover architectural transitions. And yes, I had to Google the definition. So I also just looked up the word pediment, and apparently that is not the right word for what I'm trying to describe. I'm talking about the rounded pieces I put over the single beds. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to go over a door or window, but apparently the word pediment refers to the triangular upper part of the front of a building in classical style. Like, it's very specific to Greco-Roman architecture, but the object item is literally called Felix Andre's Grove pediment, so I don't know. I think I trust Felix Andre's knowledge of architecture more than I trust Google. I had tried to add it to the exterior of the build because I have some rounded windows, but it just looked weird and I wasn't feeling it. I thought it was weird over the beds too, but kind of in a fun way. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but once I added the wall trim, it felt more intentional, and after letting it sit, I decided to keep it. So I repeat this feature in all the rooms. I'm showing you the bathrooms on this floor, but because they're identical and there's really nothing special about them because they're hotel bathrooms, I don't feel the need to comment on them, so let me just start talking about the next room and I'm sure the video will catch up to me. The second room is a little bit harder to watch me put together because I have to use the eyedropper tool to go back and forth to copy the furniture, and sped up, it looks very jumpy. This bedroom is the same, just in a teal color, and instead of single beds, it's one double bed. The desk in each room is from my Shuno-san, and the chair is a vanity stool from the Clutter Cat Sunny Sunday. And then in the bedroom, I was originally planning on using a rug from my Shuno-san sized up. It was a super cute rug with llama details in the pattern, but I just didn't like the sizing of it, so I switched it out for a couple of rugs. I thought I was going to layer a couple of Oriental or Islamic rugs on top of one another, but girl, the balance has got to be just right with the patterns and colors and sizes, and I wasn't feeling it. I think I go with just a couple of rugs, one from Puri Sim's Woodland Ranch in front of the TV and another from Organic under the bed. Okay, see, why didn't I keep the same lantern from the Kyoto set in here? Like, now I'm switching it out for the one from Felix Andre and the Clutter Cat's Ferrylicious. Bruh, I told y'all, I had an idea, but I got excited and blacked out. I didn't even follow my own rules. This was supposed to be a limited custom content pack build. But listen, this is my first time trying to limit myself to only a handful of CC, so I get a pass. The only thing that's different about this bathroom than the previous one, besides the shape of it, is that they get a full-length mirror, which I pulled from Felix Andre's Chateau set. Couldn't tell you why I chose this one above any others, it's just the way it happened, I guess. Pretty soon we'll be moving on to the common areas on the second floor, which are just the hallways where the staircases are on either side of the Riad. I used the glass doors that match the hotel's exterior windows on the interior facing the courtyard because I wanted more natural light. Does that make sense? My other option was to use the same doors for the hotel bedrooms, but I thought it might be a bit confusing visually and too heavy looking for the breezy courtyard vibes. And like I briefly mentioned earlier, this is where I start to pull those hanging swing love seats up to the second floor and rethink the layout of the first floor. I fully committed to making the first floor the built-in restaurant for the hotel, and the lounge areas are where the rooms are, and the rooftop, which I can't wait to show you because I think it's my favorite part of this hotel. Normally the kitchen is always my favorite part of any build, but the rooftop turned out so good and I can imagine this actually existing in real life. So for the lounge areas slash hallways, I just added lots of seating using the Grove collection, of course, because what do we do when we don't know what to put in a corner? It wouldn't be a build by me without ample seating and chairs as decor. The two sides are ever so slightly asymmetrical. The right side, which you just saw me furnish, is pretty minimal with only the seating, while the left hallway, which I'm furnishing right now, has a bookcase, mostly for decoration, but also functional if your Sims would like to borrow a book for their stay. I use the same shelving I put downstairs in the kitchen up here as a bookcase. It's from Puri Sim's Pantry Party, and the blue swatch matches so perfectly with the blue in the Grove collection. And here I go again, using books and clutter from whatever fucking set I felt like. Apologies, I had the best of intentions going into this build, but apparently old habits die hard, and once a CC girl, always a CC girl. Just out of curiosity, how many of you use custom content in your builds? Leave a comment down below. I didn't start out using CC because I was intimidated by the downloading process, but once I figured that out, it was all downhill from there. Okay, so now I'm going to go over what I did for the third floor off camera. First, here's an overview of the second floor layout. You can see the orange bedroom with the twin beds at the back of the building on your right side, and the blue bedroom with the double bed at the front on your left. Upstairs, I flipped the color schemes, so the blue bedroom on this floor is at the back of the hotel while the orange looks out at the front. And actually, the orange bedroom on the third floor has the most square footage, so I fit an extra seating area, while the blue one up here is the smallest with only the essentials. I also decided to use some love seats from Felix Andre and Hey Harry's Jardin. Something about the tufting or shape fits so perfectly in a Moroccan Riad, but I wasn't really expecting it. Jardin has some good shit in general, and it's very versatile, but I didn't think it would fit as perfectly with this decor style as it does. Moving along to the third floor hallways and lounge areas, I wanted to do something a little different than the second floor up here, so I added some game tables from the base game for a little extra gameplay. I feel like most boutique hotels or Airbnbs offer board games and card games you can borrow, so I thought it made sense, but boy, are these card tables ugly. I would love to see EA add another game table or do a swatch refresh on this item because it only comes in 3 swatches and each one is hideous. We can all agree. Like, even this black swatch just isn't ideal in most builds. I also add some more seating using more of these woven peacock chairs that I used on the first floor. I want to try and use them more in other builds because they're such a beautiful statement piece. I sized up some woven baskets so they're extra large to take up more of that medium wall height and created my own little design with them in the stairwell because the walls felt very plain and empty. And then it's on to the rooftop! I had already placed these tent thingies, and yes, that is a technical term, on the roof at the beginning of this build so as not to forget to use them. It's like in between a pergola and a tent. I added some water features in the corners from the Grove collection and a comfy sectional with floor cushions scattered around a fire pit, all from the Jardin set. The full bar up here is from Hey Harry's Spoons collection, and then I shrunk down a ton of saucer floor lights and hid them beneath the tent posts to brighten up the roof at night. I also added some more dining tables up here in case your Sims would like to have candlelit drinks with a view of the Oasis Springs downtown and lake. And you know how I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I was struggling with how to landscape this build, so I just saved it until the end? Well, I tried to do it on camera and was absolutely hating the way it looked, so I stopped recording and fiddled around with it for longer than I'd care to admit until I liked it. So I guess you'll just have to stay until the screenshots to see how it turned out, or check my Twitter. And you won't have to wait long because screenshots should start rolling in a moment here, so I'm going to end the voiceover now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It would really help me out, as well as subscribe, of course. Your support means the world to me, and I appreciate each and every one of you. If you'd like to download this build, you can find it on the gallery. My EA ID is ProfWomanChild, ProfWomanChild, or you can search the hashtag ProfessionalWomanChild or the hashtag TheCrimsonShade. But all of that info is linked in the description box, as well as a list of the majority of the CC I use in this build for your downloading convenience. Okay, I think that's everything. I will talk to you all in the next video, and enjoy the screenshots.